Um, don't know where to begin. We don't do the chokehold out here in Harris County. About 10 years ago, there was some instances of people that were given the chokehold, and what they found out was if they were knocked out, sometimes they never regained consciousness due to the slowing of the blood to the brain. It caused clots,
Mm-hmm.
and it could have killed them, and some people actually did die. And so it became kind of policy out here, at least with the sheriff's office, not to do chokeholds. They don't teach it in the academies, and they don't teach it in any of the other local academies.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm pretty sure HPD has gotten on board with us in that accent within the last decade.
And
So it's more or less just grandstanding.
would you say, Deputy, that most big city departments have banned these kinds of chokeholds and strangleholds?
I can't say for all the other states and all that, but a lot of departments have gotten away from that.
Mm-hmm. And do you?
We've learned things about the chokeholds. We've learned things about what we call positional asphyxiation, where just holding a guy down on their belly
Mm-hmm.
can actually cause them to asphyxiate. Or we have what's called excited delirium. People are on drugs, they're high, you hold them on their belly, and you do have a very good risk of killing them.
Deputy, so it is your view that we ought to be banning chokeholds and strangleholds, and there's no real downside in doing so.
No, there isn't.
Okay.
There's plenty of other techniques to gain control of and compliance of an individual without having to risk their life in the process.
Well, Deputy, thank you very much for that. I appreciate it. 888-971-SAGE, 888-971-7243. Rich is in San Bernardino, also retired police officer. Rich, thank you so much for calling. I appreciate it.
Hey, Larry, thanks for taking my call. Not quite retired, still active, unfortunately, but
Okay.
maybe not for long, depending on how things go.
Wow.
California Post, Police Officer Standards and Training, received information from the governor to cease and desist all these carotid choke, what we used to call LVNR, lateral vascular neck restraint.
Mm-hmm.
So our department, as recently as last night, the temporary suspension on it, and pending the outcome of the legislation in California. But personally, I don't think it's a good idea to take it out altogether. It's a tool. Doesn't mean you have to use it in every situation. But several months ago, we did have a situation of somebody accosting employees and customers at a retail store, and our batons and tasers didn't work. And the only thing that did work was the carotid or the LVNR.
Mm-hmm.
And in my opinion, I think it's more humane and causes less injuries to both cops and subject to use a carotid in lieu of some of the other tools that we have at our option. But I don't think it's a good idea for legislators to impose things on us when they really haven't walked a mile in our shoes.
Now, Rich, in the case of George Floyd, and I looked at the 8 minutes, I didn't see how the chokehold came into play. It seemed to me they had him handcuffed, they had him face down, and the officer had his knee on his neck or on his back. But I don't understand why we're talking about chokeholds. It doesn't seem to me that played a role in George Floyd's death. Am I wrong?
Well, I think you're right, because the chokehold is usually across the throat, and the carotid or the LVNR focuses on the veins on either side of the neck, not crushing the windpipe, but just restricting the flow of blood and pretty much putting somebody to sleep.
Mm-hmm.
Now, in the case of George Flores, I think that George Floyd. I don't know. I haven't seen everything, but as your other caller mentioned, there is something called excited delirium and some other things that could have been a contributing factor. But
Mm-hmm.
I don't think the chokehold was involved in that video that I saw.
Well, Rich, thank you very much for calling. I don't think it was either, and this sounds to me like one of those instances where there's a shooting and then they ban something that had nothing whatever to do with the shooting because it gives them an excuse to appear as if they've done something. Anyway, thank you very much. 888-971-SAG. Love to hear from more officers about getting rid of these kinds of restraints. Would that make things better or worse, or will you have to resort to something even worse?